All right, everyone. We are back for episode 18 of Stub Luv Live. And we have someone on who is just a good dude. I think I see him coming on. Let's get him on.
Hey.
Oh, baby!
Nicely done. Well
I had to
done.
steal the line. What's
Nice.
going on, man? How you
Well done. I've
doing?
never had anybody do that to me before, so that's pretty good to have somebody
It
else
was
do it.
it did it no justice, Dave. It really didn't. So
Hey,
our guest tonight for everybody is Dave Youhanaie, and Dave is national ticket collectors. He actually fooled me a little bit because the name that you went on was not National Ticket
oh,
Collectors.
just
It
a
was,
second ago, it was the convention site, yeah.
yeah, the convention site. So you fooled me a little bit, but so I'm really happy to have you on, Dave. I don't know if everyone watches, but they should. The National Ticket Collectors show on YouTube. It's phenomenal. You guys are great. You guys are polished. You guys have sound effects. You guys edit. I can tell you spend a whole heck of a lot of time, unlike this really kind of botched little nothing that we do here.
Well, certainly, I appreciate the feedback. The editing does take some time. And every piece of content out there has its pros and cons, right? Like the benefit, there's a certain benefit to going live and not having to edit it also, right? But it does reduce the capabilities that you have to highlight clips or reference certain things. And so it does take some work, but it's been a lot of fun.
So in kind of getting ready and prepared, you and I spoke a little bit yesterday because although you and I have done some business together and we've talked a little bit, I don't really know all that much about you. And it was really nice to talk to you and get a flavor for it. But talk to everybody a little bit about how you started getting into ticket collecting.
Yeah. So I've been a ticket collector my whole life. You know, Howard, I shared with you that the oldest ticket that I have in my collection are the ticket stubs to my senior prom that I went to with my wife, right? So like when we went to our senior prom, they like ripped these tickets and I still have the stubs.
Great.
Every concert I ever went to, you know, every Cubs game that I went to, I am, you know, I don't know, for whatever reason, the ticket stub is the thing that connected me to those events where I could look back and feel like I could relive the moment that I was there or at this show or at this game or whatever the case is. I still have my ticket to the 1998 Cubs versus the Giants. It's the one game playoff, the game, you know, regular season game 163 of that year where the Cubs win and they break their decade-long streak of, you know, no postseason appearances. Michael Jordan throws out the first pitch. And um, so, yeah, I saved all my tickets. And then, yeah, during the pandemic, I've always wondered to myself, Howard, if somebody else in Boogers, because, okay, so I'll take you back, but like when the pandemic began, myself, like a lot of other people, found myself like cruising the internet. I'm on eBay, and I've been collecting Michael Jordan inserts from the '90s my whole life, pretty much. And then I've been also collecting Brady. Love collecting some Brady cards, mainly Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome refractors for people who are into cards. But that's what I love collecting. Um, and then I come across this person who has this pristine looking 2002 Super Bowl ticket, and I've always wanted to own a Super Bowl ticket because they're just beautiful tickets, like each one of them. And so so there's this seller, and her name is Kelly, and this I don't know how this seller got all of these tickets to the Super Bowl. This person had like hundreds of tickets to Super Bowls in the early 2000s, and she was just like selling them at these incredible prices. Like Howard, I can't remember what I paid for that Super Bowl ticket. It was a gold version. I honest to God think I paid $70 for it, and I'd never bought a ticket before, but it was like beautiful. I was like $70, okay, whatever, like $70. Let's get this thing. And then it came in, and it was in such incredible condition. I was like, yeah, I got to send this thing into PSA. I'd never ever had a ticket graded. I'd graded my cards before. I'd never sent a ticket in, and that thing came back as a PSA 10. I was like, I was floored. And it was just a stroke of good luck. And then from that point, now I was kind of just hooked. And I educated myself on the different variations of, I completed the 2002 rainbow, right? Because there's different colors for the
Mm-hmm.
2002. So I completed that. And then I started working my way through the Brady Super Bowls. And then I had to get my Buffalo Bills Super Bowls. And then it was like, well, now just you kind of want to put them all together, kind of, and that led to World Series tickets. And I was trying to recall, like, what was the first ticket probably that I was like, oh my God, like an event ticket, like something where I was like, now that's an event that I feel like I got to have a ticket to. I'm trying to think if there was one. Um, I don't remember this.
As a Chicago guy, it can't be the Steve Bartman game, so it's got to be something
I,
positive
I don't
Chicago.
know. I love the Bartman ticket because it's the story behind the Steve
Yeah,
Bartman thing, dude, is such like, I mean, Howard, my heart goes out to that guy because I feel like in a different place and time, any one of us could have reached out for
for
that ball,
sure,
like,
for sure.
and so I think it's a great story and a crazy ticket. It's one of those actually really cool tickets for me, Howard, because anybody who had that stub watched that happen, that play. If you were at Wrigley, you watched that play happen. And everybody talked about it. It was out national news, like, I think that's a great stub. But you and I talked recently about the double doink, which is again is not a favorable result for Chicago Bears fans or Chicago sports fans, but what an unbelievable the look on I think Matt Nagy, the coach of the Bears, like the look on his face, and they pan to him and he's just got this straight dumbfounded look. You've never seen a guy more dumbfounded than him. It just
And, yeah.
you know the clip that I'm
Oh,
talking
I know
about?
the clip.
Okay,
I've seen the
yeah.
clip. Yeah, yeah. And I watched the game, and as a Philadelphia fan, we were going crazy. I'm going to tell you this, Dave. Probably something you didn't know, but if someone's asked me many times as an autograph chaser who I'd want to get, like who's still alive that I would want to meet and get an autograph from, and because I don't think anyone's ever gotten his autograph,
You're gonna say Bartman?
Bart,
It would
I would.
be the sickest ticket ever to get. If you could get a Bartman game signed by Bartman, I mean, Howard, I would love to postulate for a minute. Like, what does that go for at auction? For real?
Don't
What do you
know.
think that goes for? I mean, you got to put together an estimate. You know, it's going for more than $1,000.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you got a Bartman and it was the only
Oh my
Bartman
God.
that comes from
Signed by
kind of,
Steve Bartman?
yeah,
Jeez.
you got to get maybe you do Bartman Alou, but I mean
The
that's a big
Bartman
ticket.
and Lou combo would be crazy. That would be crazy.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
It would be really big. So you started in tickets, really kind of the Brady ticket, but you kept everything. Prom ticket story is super cool. Good for you, good for your wife. That's a real story. I mean, that's the real deal story. Um, so and I know you talked a little bit about the pandemic, kind of getting addicted. When did this national ticket collector show kind of come to fruition? Because what do you got? You're 20 plus episodes in, and you guys are just killing it. I mean, we all look for it every weekend.
Oh, well, you said convention, but what you mean is the show? Like, where
Oh
did the
yeah,
show?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
The
no
show. Yeah,
sweat.
yeah.
Hey, the show. I don't know what the show is. I mean, behind this, Posty and I have done all sorts of endeavors, right? So like he and I scripted out like a 1950s jazz bar called the Players Club, and during the pandemic, we created a podcast where every week these two guys got together and hosted almost like a Johnny Carson late night show, but you could only hear it, and it was inside of like a seedy jazz bar, like a really seedy jazz bar. It was, always weird shit going on in the dark corners of this place. But it was just we've always had this little entertainer's bug between the two of us. We've always produced little videos that we've put together. Always comedy. It's always comedy. Just a little sketch that we've written. And now we love collecting tickets. And in our heads, we were like writing scripts about tickets. Like, oh man, I mean, we don't have like the technological capabilities nor the budget or time to like really produce some of the skits. But Howard, like, we've got straight up like comedy specials written about just like collecting tickets that we could just, but to make those a reality, like I'd need a budget and some extra materials and stuff that we don't want to do. But that's it. And we were sitting around talking about tickets anyway, and we just figured might as well just share the conversation that we're already having.
Yeah. And you told me that Posty's a junior high school friend and a high school friend, and you've known him basically your whole life.
Yeah, yeah. he and I, we met in junior high and we were cool in high school, like kind of like, close circles of friends. But then the first concert that my wife and I ever went to, she was closer with him than I was. She was buddies with him, and he came to the first concert that she and I went to together. And then from that point, we've been inseparable. And that was our junior year of high school. We went, both of us like took off to Hawaii for college and like, lived out in Hawaii for our college years and, and still hang out together. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, we both feel very blessed to have such a long friendship.
Yeah. So now you have a page on Facebook. You have the YouTube show. You've got a significant presence on eBay. So how much are you guys selling versus how much are you guys collecting? Because I see you guys posting a lot of really dynamite tickets, and you guys are acquiring a tremendous amount of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you see us selling these days is stuff that's just like we've had it for a long time. And in the world of collecting, Howard, it's like there is this need for the next different, and we encounter the same thing. And so what people probably don't see is like for the last several years just the pure acquisitions we've made, right? Like that stuff kind of goes uncharted and undocumented. But in order for us to continue acknowledging our desire to acquire, we are having to come to grasps with the fact that like you don't have unlimited income and resources. And like if you buy a ton of tickets or collectibles, at some point, like, I don't know, you know how it is. It's like at some point, if you want to keep doing it, you're either pulling away money from your family or you have to start thinking to yourself, like, is there some stuff I have that doesn't bring me as much joy as what that next thing might bring me, right? So that's really what you see is a lot of the stuff that we have. Like, I still love a lot of the stuff. Like right now on eBay, we've got the 3 out of the 4 Islanders championships. I don't really want to sell any of those, Howard. I don't want to sell any of them.
Right.
But again, it's more along the lines of like, but I would do it for the opportunity to acquire something else, like something else that, I'm still looking for. And you and I, we talked about that the other day on the phone too. But like, I love the Indiana Jones aspect of collecting tickets.
Yep.
The idea that, you could still buy a raw group of tickets and find something in there that's never been seen before or only been seen a handful of times. Or if it's ever been seen before, now you easily might have the nicest copy that's ever been discovered because there's only been 3 ever discovered. So I love that,
Yeah. I mean, I think the hunt, the chase, the thrill of all of that gets every collector, every ticket collector, no matter what you're kind of going after. Maybe I'll find something that you think's ridiculous and, I'm coveting it and vice versa. So
totally.
So much out there for all of us. So what's really your focus, Dave? What's the focus of your ticket collecting?
Oh, my ticket collecting is centered around the Chicago Cubs, and Don Beebe, who I've talked about on the show. He's not a well-known player, but the story behind that, Howard, is that he grew up like in my hometown. He was the same age as my dad, and we all went to church with his family, right? So like, he was just Donnie. Like little Donnie, the guy that now he was way older than me, right? It's like, he's like 15 and I was probably like 5 or something like that. So he's like one of the older cool guys. But like the guy went to the NFL and he's from our hometown and went to our church. And it was like, we all watched those Super Bowls when he was in them. So I just collect his stuff just for fun. I probably have the largest Don Beebe sports card collection on the planet,
Wow.
So like, yeah, I have all sorts of sports cards of BB and then his tickets that I put together. So that stuff and Chicago Cubs stuff, the Blackhawks. So I'm like looking around my table right now at like, but it's very Chicago based. The stuff that, but truly, Howard, like the stuff that I would like never sell is all my personal tickets.
So show us some stuff, Dave. I know you brought some stuff. We didn't talk about what you were bringing, but I assume some Chicago stuff and some PC stuff.
Yeah, so I'll start with just some PC stuff. Is the best game I've ever been to in my life. Game 5 of the World Series in the 2016 World Series. Howard, I got the craziest story for you. But in the year 2001, I graduated from high school, and my dad, in passing, mentioned to me, David, did you know that the season ticket waiting list for the Cubs is 15 years? I said, what? That's crazy. But I'm a broke high school graduate, and so I put myself on the waiting list hoping that 15 years later I'd be in a place financially and otherwise in life that I could get season tickets. And wouldn't you know it, 15 years later, on the dot in 2016, they called me at the end of the 2015 season. They called me, and they said, hey, Dave, we're giving you a heads up, but like you're at the top of the list next year for season ticket holders. So, you know, if you're interested, you could start preparing yourself. And the Cubs had just gone to the NLCS the previous year, and boy, they look good. Now they got swept by the Mets, but boy, they look good. So I went and put, you know, season tickets are not cheap, and you had to buy a minimum of 2, right? So I was like, all right, so I was put this together, and I went to the homies at work, and I was like, who wants to pool their money together? We're gonna get these Cubs tickets. And I remember this other dude at work was like, let me get this straight. You have an investment strategy that is betting on the Cubs winning the World Series. And I looked at him and I was like, yes, they're going to win the World Series. I just knew it. And so this is game 5 of the World Series. And this is the game that I went to and sat there. And of course, this is the first game that the Cubs barely eked out a win to fend off. But I'll never forget that shit. Just an amazing. So obviously, you know, that's a really great ticket for me. That's my personal ticket that I used. And then the next Cubs game that I would go to, we would go to opening day of 2017. So Posty and I go to opening day, Howard. And we see him like raise the banner. It's the best time of my life. And I freaking win the 50-50 jackpot that day too. It was the most insane 2 Cubs games I'd like ever been to in my life. So like this is the game where like I won the 50-50 and the Cubs like raised the banner. It's just like the best day of my life. And then, you know, the World
That's
Series.
great.
So
Great.
yeah, so those are 2 pieces.
Maybe you're responsible for reversing the curse. I mean, it could be you,
I think
Dave. It could be you.
we all had a part. I think we all had a part in that. We were all ready to see it broken. Now I'm going to share something with you that is again part of my PC, not something I would generally collect. This just came in the other day, and I got this from so I follow my favorite band in the world is called 311, and I am part of like a 311 Memorabilia fan page, and I see this dude post these 2 passes. Now the first pass you're going to see first. I'll preface this a little bit more. These passes are from their fall tour in the year 2001. And so, of course, September 11, 2001. The original design to this pass, as happenstance, shows buildings in what appears to be like an explosion on the top. Now, it's not actually an explosion. It's almost like an oil painting that's like what do they call this? A Rockshire blot or whatever it is. It's just a random piece of art, but it looks like an explosion happening at the top of this building.
Wow.
So on the back of it, you can see the dates. And you can see on there the band plays a show on September 8th and September 9th. They take September 10th off, and then September 11th happens. And the band cancels some of their shows because things are crazy. And when they reconvene the tour, this is the pass. They abandon this design because obviously they don't want to be seen walking around with this. And then they come out with a very patriotic design. And I came across this guy in this collectors group who was like saying he had this version of this old 911 one. I was like, this is the crazy story. So I buy him from this guy and I get on the phone with him and he says, oh, I got these from the previous road manager for the band. And then I went to the band and I had them because both of these are autographed by all 5 members. These are like the sickest thing I could have ever bought for my favorite band. I love the story of it. Like,
yeah, it's a great story.
The weird connection to 9/11, the 2 days of the tour where they used this one badge and then but the more interesting part is that the band had ordered all of these to be destroyed. These were all destroyed except for this is the one remaining copy. So anyway, that's just something I picked up the other day on a Facebook group.
Really cool. That's a really cool story. It just kind of goes to show you just about ticket collecting that something so benign to somebody else could be so important to another collector and incredibly important to you. Glad you found it. I mean, boy, I'm glad it got into your hands and not somebody else's because, you know, now you've perpetuated the story a little bit. And that story's got to be told probably another, 50 times, Dave, for you to for you to actually captivate the moment itself. So good for you. It's good stuff.
Thanks. These just came in like 2 days ago. I just got these. So I was still very much like, you know, starry-eyed when I look at them. I love the history of them. They're cool.
So
you want
talk to me too. Yeah, before you show anything more. So about the hunt. So what's probably, I know you're a hunter just like us all, and you're looking through collections, you're buying stuff out in Chicago. What's your kind of biggest maybe shoebox find or find in a stack of tickets that you've come across, you and Posty?
Yeah, I was like debating. There is, you know, the craziest. Gosh, I'm going to give you a good one, Howard. I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, we get introduced to this guy who's in New York City, and he says he's got a collection of old tickets, and he sends me some pictures of this stuff, and it's like the most incredible shit I've ever seen. These are like full tickets to Yankees World Series games from like the 50s and full tickets. And so I end up talking to this gentleman, and I'm like, this is a collection. There's probably like 100 of these tickets, these old World Series tickets, full ones. And I was like, wow, these are incredible. But he won't do any business remotely. He says, you got to come to see me in New York. So, all right, Posty and I fly to New York. And we meet this guy at this library, Howard. And there was like a small library. It's like we got the impression we were like, oh, we're gonna go to New York and we're gonna meet this guy at the library, and it's gonna be like a big ass New York City library. It wasn't. It was in like one of the boroughs. It was like one of those satellite ones, and it was really small, like the size of an old renovated like chapel, really small. And we got in there and just came to what we were like trying to come to an agreement. It was a solid deal. It was like a 5-figure deal for these, right? And he's got this other stack of tickets that, this is not one of them, but this is, they're old looking Yankees tickets. And there's a stack of them, right? So, but he's got them as sort of an offshoot. And we're at the freaking library. Like, we've been sitting here going back and forth. He's a collector. He wants to tell me all about how he acquired these things in the years that he's had them, right? So the story goes on for a while. Then we've got to get to the nitty gritty of coming to a price, which took a long time. It was kind of combative. Literally, the librarian came over 3 times and had to tell us, like, because he would get a little excited as, like, oh, I'm not taking that price. I'm like, all right, honey, geez, let's just work this out, right? So anyway, thank God for his wife, Howard, because his wife actually stepped in after the 2-hour mark, and she was like, honey, these boys flew all the way from Chicago. Maybe you should just work something out with them. And so, yes, so she was like ready to go. And so we came to a good agreement. And at the end, he's got this stack of stubs, and he was like, well, these are part of the deal. And I said, well, how much for the stack of stubs? And he goes, I don't know, $1,500. I have no idea what's in there. But they're Yankees tickets from what appear to be the 20s and 30s and 40s. So I'm like, I don't know. There's got to be 50 of them in there. In my head, I'm like, okay, so he's talking $30 a piece. I don't care. I'm willing to take a gamble and see what's in there. We buy this stuff. We're stoked about it. We head back to the hotel, and so we open up these stubs and post these, like, going through the PSA pop report. And he looks up at me and he goes, "You got any?" I can't remember the date right now, but he says, "You got anything from 1947?" I go, "Yeah, I got a couple here." And he goes, "You got June 2nd, 1947?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got 2 of them. What's that?" He goes, "It's the Babe Bows Out." And I'm holding 2 of these things, Howard, 2 of them. And they're not just like, when we since had gotten them graded, and one came back as a 4 and one came back as a 5, the 4 at the time, the 4 was the highest graded copy until the 5 got graded.
Wow.
So these were just incredible tickets. And then the kicker was finding the Yogi Berra debut. And the Yogi Berra debut was in there, and it was just the find of a lifetime. Yeah. I mean, just an incredible piece of history. It was great to be discovering stuff like that in New York City. Yeah, we had never been to New York City before, so it was just an incredible experience.
Sounds like it. Well, how good is that? So you get to go to New York, you find a really amazing opportunity. You and a good friend do it, and now you're sitting here talking about it, and that's, I think, what makes ticket collecting so very special.
Yeah.
So good for you guys. I'm going to say something about Dave too. I do a lot of business with Dave. I buy stuff from him, and everyone who's listening and everyone who watches this afterwards, not only is Dave very reasonable with his prices, but I don't know if you remember this, Dave, but I bought some tickets from you. I think I bought 4 tickets that were what we believed back in the day were John Elway Drive tickets.
Yeah.
Broncos Drive tickets that wound up being the Phantom tickets. And I'm telling this story just because of what I believe to be, something that Dave did so honorably. I think I bought the tickets even maybe like a month before everyone had figured out that they were the Phantoms. And I think I reached out to you just with a random text and said, hey, these I think are Phantoms. They're not the real tickets. I don't know that I said I want a refund or anything, but you just said, send them back. Give your money back, send them back. And the even crazier thing was, I think you refunded me before I even sent the tickets back to you. So it just kind of goes to show you, I love dealing with Dave. Dave's got a wealth of ticket knowledge. He finds great stuff, and he gives us reasonable prices. So, and then with the honorability, just that kind of trust to have in someone where if you're not, 100% satisfied, not only does he make good, but he goes out of his way to make good on it. So I wanted to tell that story because I thought it was important, Dave, to mention that.
Thanks.
Just how good of a guy you are. What else do you have there, Dave? And then we'll jump into the gauntlet because we've been going 24 minutes, and I like to try to keep these at 30 because we could talk all day.
Sweat. I'm going to show off this one just because I love it. This is the oldest NHL ticket in existence.
Oh my God! What year is
ticket? This is January 23rd of 1926. It's at Madison Square Garden when the New York Americans are taking on the Boston Bruins. And I love, finding a ticket that says, I'm not even like a huge, fan of necessarily like these teams or hockey, but just to like see something that's like 100 years old and hold on to it. Imagine that somebody used this back then to get into Madison Square Garden. I love the romance of it, Howard.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you got anything else there, or else we'll jump into the gauntlet?
No, let's jump in. I've got endless stuff. I got a whole table of books, but like, yeah.
So let's run the gauntlet, Dave, and we'll go from there. So, as we always start out with that, stub or full?
Yeah, well, I would say it depends. Generally, I'm satisfied having a stub, but there are some, I would say generally a stub. Or occasionally I like a full for the simple viewpoint of the whole. I think the ticket itself is beautiful. And actually, the called shot is one of them for me. I just aesthetically, I like the look of it. So I'd like to see it in its full format. But what was the other example that I had? I was just thinking like, the Bartman game. I have no interest in a full ticket.
Yeah. Gotta have been there to see that and witness
Yep.
that. Yeah. I think I know this answer. PSA, Beckett, or no slab at all?
PSA.
Yeah. Debuts or moments, Dave?
Ooh, moments.
Yeah. I think I've seen you guys, put some really solid debuts up before, but yeah, for me, I'm more of a moment guy too. Signed tickets, and I know you've done a little bit of signed stuff recently. Signed tickets or outside tickets? Are you addicted now to the signed stuff, Dave? I'm
quickly shifting, Howard. I'm sitting here right now. I got these autographed 311 passes. I got my autographed Nolan Ryan stuff. I got my autographed Chicago Cubs debuts that I'm putting together. So it's starting to happen. I had never been somebody to ever get autographs ever, but now I've done it a few times. And it's cool. And it does, I love connecting the two, like the person with the event on a ticket. So, gosh, I'm going to say I'm an autograph guy. I guess if I was going to have it. Hell yeah, dude. So a Jackie Robinson debut is cool, but if you got one autographed by Jackie, doesn't that kind of do it even more for you?
Yeah, it really does. So we didn't talk about that. Let's just dip for 1 second and make sure we're done. So you are collecting every Cub who was on the 2016 World Series team, their major league debut.
Correct. Signed.
So if anyone out there, I don't know who you're missing, if there's any toughies, but if there's anyone out there that has any of these that Dave may need, reach out to Dave.
Yeah. The hardest one is 2002, the Texas Rangers, John Lackey's debut. I can't remember the date offhand. I want to say it's in June. Matt Fuller would know. He
would. PSA 10 tickets or PSA Pop 1 tickets?
Well, it's got to be a Pop 1.
Yeah. I think we got one answer of someone saying, they want a PSA 10, but I don't know. For me, it's got to be a Pop 1. Rarity.
I'm like so desensitized now at this point. Like when you're grading sports cards and you get something that's not a 9 or a 10, you have like a bit of disappointment that really occurs when the grades reveal. But at this point, like I'm so stoked to get a 3 because I'm in the world of tickets. Like a 3 is great. A 4, wow, it's incredible. So like to see a PSA 10 is like something where it's like I don't even remember what that's like, because I'm just grading tickets now.
It's funny that you say that. We get orders back, my buddy Rob and I, from PSA, and I'm just excited that the labels are what we asked for. Kind of what you guys do on your show. You request a certain label and the flip looks great.
Yeah. And
Rob will say to me, that also graded a 5 or 6. I didn't even look at the grade. I didn't even care about the grade.
Yeah.
You just want the ticket.
Yeah. It's certainly the biggest difference between the general sports card collector and ticket collectors is like, and I think that's probably the thing that people struggle with when they make that shift from collecting one thing into collecting tickets. They really bring with them that hyper focus on condition. You know, where a lot of us are like, hell no, let you have a beer stain on it, you know?
It's funny. We Rob and I went to chase Jimmy Johnson a couple weekends ago, and we had a couple of those "How about them Cowboy" tickets from the playoff game against the 49ers. And Rob bought a ticket, and he didn't even realize that on the back someone wrote, Cowboys and the score, 49ers and the score, fucking lost to the fucking Cowboys. And I mean, I looked at the ticket and I was like, and he looked at it, he's like, I never even saw that was on there. And I'm like, that was great. The guy went to the game. The
Yeah.
Cowboys won the game. He was a 49ers fan. And
Yeah.
he was pissed. He was pissed enough to write that on the ticket.
Yeah.
So kind of cool
Have
stuff.
you ever written something like that on a ticket?
No, I haven't, but I've gotten a few tickets, and I know Sean Doherty, and I know some of these old school OG ticket collectors. They're like, we don't love writing, but when the writing means something to the ticket or to the game, it maybe is better. And like I have a Johnny Sylvester game, and someone wrote on the back, Babe Ruth hit 3 home runs, and it's just like, yeah, he did, and someone noted it. So pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I do kind of have a fascination with those, like the really older ones, the 80 plus years old, when people would put that hand, because it's such a connection to like a lost time, a time that's gone, you know?
It really is. So who's more fun to party with, Posty or Evil Posty?
Evil Posty all day. He's so unpredictable. You never know what he's going to say. That guy.
We've kind of not seen Evil Posty so much anymore. Like,
you know what? Honestly, Howard, he doesn't. Posty don't like doing Evil Posty. Like, I don't know. I think the bit is hilarious. It might be the funniest bit we did. We did a bit where the devil is a Tim Tebow collector. I'm like, that's a funny ass bit. The devil collects Tim Tebow in his PC. That's funny. Write that down, man.
Walter Payton debut ticket or the Gale Sayers 6 TD game ticket?
Without a doubt, the Payton.
Is there a Payton? Is that in existence? Do you know?
Debut?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out there, but I have not. I don't know that I've ever seen one, actually.
Yeah, I don't know that I have either. So we'll try to stay non-political, but I've got to throw it out there. Who's a worse Chicago mayor, Lori Lightfoot or Brandon Johnson?
Gosh, I'm thankful to tell you I'm the least educated person to answer this question, because I have tuned out of all of that stuff completely, Howard. So in the meantime,
really we'll just chalk it up to they're both really bad. So which do you like more, tilts or milfs?
Oh gosh, honestly, probably the tilts. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I'm a married man, but my wife has no jealousy on my tilts. You know what I mean? She'll let me fantasize about those tilts all day, Howard. She has no problem with it.
So just so that everyone knows, if you don't watch Dave's show, and you should, TILF is what, Dave? A ticket I'd like to find?
Right. And it's obviously a play off the MILF, right? It's like, and it's a funny concept, it's a ticket I'd like to find.
Worst Chicago sports moment, Dave? I mean, I think there's one and only one, and we've talked about it, but
man, worst one. Dude, thankfully I feel like we haven't been inflicted to too many. Obviously I'm going to say one that you may not expect, but honestly, losing the Super Bowl in 07 after Hester returned that touchdown, bro, I thought it was over. I thought it was like in the bag. Our team's going to run. I mean, it was Peyton Manning, I think we played, right? It was Manning and the Colts.
You did, yeah.
I mean, I remember that one hurt.
Yeah. All right, well, I didn't expect that, so that's good. Michael Jordan debut ticket or some other Michael Jordan moment? Shot, final shot, shot over Elo, flu game, or do you want his debut?
No, I actually think you probably nailed it with shot over Elo, because it's so hard to come by. Those are like the hardest ones to find. I feel like there were plenty of Bulls fans at the Utah games, so enough of those ticket stubs kind of survived based on the fact that there were Bulls fans there present. But like back in Cleveland back then, there were not many Bulls fans, and you can tell that because look at the video of the shot on Elo and see how many people are just sitting there unbelievably upset. It's the whole stadium. Those people, I just can't imagine a ton of people in Cleveland saved those stubs.
So be the prognosticator. Give us your pick. Do the Bears have a chance to win the Super Bowl in 2024?
Without a doubt. Watch out. I'm feeling optimistic. Howard, I might have given up on the Bears if they would have kept Justin Fields. I might have called it quits. That boy couldn't throw the ball.
You're
He just
back.
held on to it forever.
You're back. You're back on the bandwagon.
I am still on the bandwagon. Proud to be a Bear. I mean, you know how it is. They're my team no matter what, but just don't make it painful, please. Don't make it painful.
I understand. So I appreciate you, Dave, being on. Everyone who's watching and everyone who watches after we post it, Dave's show is on YouTube. It's National Ticket Collectors. You guys usually run them now, what, Sundays, about 12 o'clock?
Sundays at noon Central.
Yeah.
The new ones drop.
Yeah. And it is a blast. Dave has a lot of fun. Your cohort Mike is terrific, and get to see a lot of really interesting stuff, new stuff, great ticket content. We love you, Dave. Hope to see you out in Cleveland. I know you said you were going. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Likewise.
Again, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Howard.
Be well. Have a good night. Take care.
You too.